Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's Say Report. This is your host, Sejohn Surrowick, and my host companion, Devon D. Decker, is with me as well.
Oh, he used my full name, middle initial, and all. I feel like I'm in trouble.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, man, it's kind of hard to not say, like, Devon D. Decker. Like, that's just your moniker, man.
Yeah,
That's your title.
it's always weird. Like that's one of those things. There are those people in your life who are always first last name people. Like no offense to you, but you are always Sejohn. Very rarely do I call you Sejohn Sarowick. Which
Yes.
then further disproves my theory that it's usually people with exotic names who get the last name thing. Because I feel like I'm Devon Decker because, like, Devon is I don't know like it's a stranger's name. It was a strange name. Like it's on the rise. I don't know what I'm talking about right now.
Well, for me, it was one of those things where the second I met you, I then met like four other Devons in my life. So now it's not that strange of a name to me. I don't
Yeah,
know. But there's no other Sejan. Take that, world.
I feel like there's other Sejohns. I
I
feel like
don't
I've
think there's
typed it into
another.
Facebook.
I think there's a lot of Sejohns and a lot of surgeons and stuff, but there's only one Sejan.
All I know is that there was one person, and I will leave him unnamed. I bet you can figure it out, and I bet some of the people at home can figure it out too. But I won't say his name here, so because I don't want to. That's
Is it
100% the
is
reason why.
is it Sejan?
No,
Oh,
yes,
all right.
it's my other friend Sejan. No, who when they met you was like, "That's Sejan." I mean, you hear the name Sejan, and it evokes certain ideas in your head about what they look like.
Oh, great.
Like I pictured like a
A
surfer
bodybuilder.
body and
Yeah.
like flowing Jesus hair and I'm like, wow.
So it was a spot on image then.
I knew that you wouldn't like him because of other things going on in the world, but that you were threatened by his name. It just reveals how fucking insecure you were as a human being. I could never compete with a guy named Sachin. Oh my god.
God. So what's going on this week, Devin? You get up to anything fun?
I got up to a lot of things fun, but I'd like to. This is a brief callback to last week's episode, where for some reason we talked about I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry
For like a hot second.
for
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
hot second. But this, like 2 days ago, I rewatched My Fellow Americans.
Oh man. Okay.
You know My Fellow Americans, right?
I barely remember my fellow Americans, but go ahead.
So My Fellow Americans is Jack Lemmon and James Garner, and it was originally supposed to be Walter Matthau, but health issues kept them from doing a third grumpier old man team up.
Right. Right.
Um, and they're
Or or odd couple, but yes, grumpier old men, right?
no, but that's the reason why in the '90s they were getting paired up.
That's true. Yeah, yeah.
That's the thing. So they're like, oh, grumpy old men made money, and somehow grumpier old men made money. But like, let's not do another grumpy old man movie.
Of
Let's
course,
shift
no.
things up. So let's make them ex-presidents who stumble upon a nefarious conspiracy theory, and the NSA wants to murder them. Like 1996, already throwing shade at the NSA.
Yeah, no, the
Respect.
90s was a weird time
Respect.
for like the government in movies. You know, that's also the decade of like True Lies and stuff like that too. So we were doing some weird stuff with what our government was capable of and wanted to do. When did Mercury Rising come out? Was that a 2000s movie?
97, I believe.
See, there you go. Alec Baldwin as a just trying to straight up murder a little kid because the government decided to put a word search out that had government secrets in it.
So,
And when asked in the movie, the analyst simply goes, "Well, we didn't think anyone would figure it out."
people literally do the crossword every day, analyst. It's like, oh god, or also enemy of the state. If we're going to talk about like movies where we were untrustful of the government, he's handed a TurboGrafx Express by NEC that has state secrets on it. And I just remember everybody like, oh, that thing's so cool that they made for that movie. And I'm like, it's a real game system. You just never had one. I never had one either because they were $600, but
Yeah. So it was still a pretty odd thing to see, man.
yeah, it was weird that they're
Um,
like, oh, so anyway, so My fellow Americans, right?
Yeah, so what are the grumpiest old men up to?
AKA, as people refer to it, like as it was referred to in the trades, grumpier old presidents. So this movie, I'm watching this movie, and I like that movie a lot. I really, really enjoy that movie. But like as an adult watching that film, you realize how little comedy is there, and how much our world is fucking scary. Wake up, sheeple! It is for 1996.
Yeah.
But the thing that struck me, and is the reason why I'm calling back to I Not Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, is that Dan Aykroyd plays the current president. And I have to be honest with you, Sejohn, that's my kind of Aykroyd.
Yeah.
Because a movie where Dan Aykroyd is just acting, he has no creative input or control, those are his best performances.
Oh, for sure, man.
Because he is a hell of an actor. But and I don't want to, like, because he did fucking Ghostbusters, right? So you can't be like he's not good at what he does, because he made a movie that like everybody freaking loves. But when he has creative control in movies, you can kind of tell he leaves fingerprints everywhere.
Oh,
and it's very distracting.
Well, I'm sure that he was wanted to get his hands on this one. I mean, you're talking about a government conspiracy movie. Dan Aykroyd. Oh my God, how did he keep his hands off of anything? They must have been like slapping his wrist every day. What if we just no Aykroyd down?
No, Dan Aykroyd, you're in 4 scenes in this movie.
Just drink your vodka.
I'm thinking about selling it someday, but I'm not sure of the perfect vessel. Is that why you're drinking it out of a crystal foot? Yeah, like, put your foot down, Aykroyd vodka. Well, we'll get there. But the other thing, and the last thing, is but that's like my kind of Aykroyd. I just realized that watching him, like in Tommy Boy too, where I'm sure he had some creative discussion because it's an SNL movie and his standing with SNL, but he just shows up as Zelensky, and he fucking slays. Like, he does such a good job in that movie.
For sure, man.
But I don't know.
How much control did he have over anything besides the acting in Spies Like Us? Because the second you started this conversation, I started thinking of that movie, and the fact that it led to Dan Aykroyd is amazing. All roads lead to Aykroyd.
Apparently, all roads lead to Aykroyd. I feel like he had a lot. I feel like that's one that he definitely. I can't think of. First of all, Spies Like Us is a movie that I saw when I was very young and have not revisited as an adult. So I might make
that's not that funny in retrospect. Spies Like Us. Yeah. Anyway.
How about a Pepsi? No, it's it's probably, honestly, I should sit down and watch it. I should make that my homework for this week, is to watch that movie that you thought of as your kind of Aykroyd. But like, also as I'm saying it, I think about Blues Brothers, and he is such the straight man in that movie too. Like, he doesn't overstep his bounds as Elwood at all, because Elwood is the quiet one.
No, it is a role that forces him to be subtle, which is insane, right? Like, letting him not like completely chew scenery is because the other big role that I'm thinking of for him obviously is Grosse Pointe Blank. Like, that's like the other big one.
That's another my kind of Aykroyd, because he shows up and he is awesome in that movie, but it's because he can't be like, and maybe we go to hell. Maybe that's not what this movie's going to be about. You were trying to do that since Ghostbusters 2 ended. Do a movie where you go to hell. Also, like My Girl. My Girl's another Aykroyd movie where his performance is awesome. Like, he's a great actor.
Yeah. No, he's going to definitely be one of those ones that people remember fondly because of things like his acting, and they're going to forget all of the really weird stuff that he got into in the end. But yeah, man, the second that he starts getting the reins on anything is when it starts to get like crazy.
But the last thing, and this is the important thing about my fellow Americans, is that Paul Feig, director of the 2016 Ghostbusters Answer the Call, is in My Fellow Americans in like the biggest part ever. Like, it was back when he was like, I'm going to try to be an actor. And then he's like, no, I'm going to be behind the scenes.
Yeah, maybe I should not be this part.
Yeah, I'm watching Aykroyd here, and he's a good actor. But behind the scenes, I want to do a reverse Aykroyd.
I'm going to do the reverse Aykroyd.
But like, that has to be...
But still make it Ghostbusters.
That has to be where him and Feig met. And he's like, hey, just someday, Aykroyd, if you want to do a Ghostbusters, all ladies, give me a call.
It at least gets you in the room
And
down like 10 years down the line, right? When you're like, "Hey, I wrote a Ghostbusters." You did a what now?
yeah, but we were in My Fellow Americans together. Bring it in, son.
Oh man, yeah. Well, okay. So you got up to some Dan Aykroyd
I gotta do that, and
shenanigans this
I
week.
have some other movie stuff. But let's check in with Sejohn first before I go movie deep.
Well, no, I did a lot of movie watching myself this week. I mean, and for me, I don't know why, but it ended up being very Disney heavy this week for me. First of all, I mean, I should just shout out that I saw The Incredibles yesterday. Um,
No spoilers for me because I have an incredible story that is less than.
oh God, but you haven't seen it then?
But I
Okay.
haven't seen it, so what does that mean?
Yeah, man. Well, I will just say that it was just a delight, and there's a lot of really fun, not superhero based references. Like, there's some good superhero stuff as well, but there's actually, I was very surprised by a lot of other type of like old school adventure story like moments. In again, I don't want to spoil anything, so we won't
Okay.
get too deep into it, but I will just say totally recommend. It'll be a really interesting conversation to have about where it falls in the Pixar canon when once you do see it, because I have some very exact thoughts about how I feel about it compared to the rest of Pixar movies. But
And I honestly, even not having seen it, I kind of feel like I know where you're coming from because it was another one of those. Thanks for coming to the movies.
hmm but I'm yeah, I was gonna say that.
So Sejan, there's some more breadcrumbs because how would Devon know that and then not have seen the movie?
Did the short really like emotionally get to you? Did you have to run out of the room
No,
because that
okay,
old
yeah,
woman
I've
ate her
teased it too
child?
much. Okay, so we go on Thursday night. Thursday night we go see Tag, which Tag is a movie that I want to talk about.
Okay.
So we'll get to Tag, but Tag was one of those movies that afterwards I'm like, I need something to pick me up. But comedy with Jake Johnson needs to pick you up. What happens in that movie? I'm scared. Sorry. Not feeling great about it after that. So we're looking, and there's a 9:45 Incredibles too, and I'm like, let's do it. Like, let's do it. You don't have to go to work tomorrow, Dale. I don't care. It's Friday, right? Like,
Right,
I
exactly.
can go see a movie, and plus, I don't go to bed. I would still be up anyway, just sitting at home, not having seen Incredibles 2, like ruminating on how much Tag upset me.
hmm
So let's go do this. So we buy our tickets and we go in there and we're laughing with the ushers. They're like, "Oh yeah, you guys haven't seen it yet." I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Usually you're at the 7." So it's just like it's like a very nice experience, and it's a nice experience up until the trailers start, when a full row of teenagers come in.
Oh no.
Yes, right. We're officially old. We're officially old
Oh no.
because of that noise you just made when I said teenagers.
Youths.
Youths, and worse than just them coming into the theater, Sejan, they occupy the entire row behind where Dale and I are sitting. So it's not like they sat below us or they sat in the very back. They sat right behind us.
Hmm.
And we're watching the trailers, and they have comments during the trailers, and I'm like, that's okay. That's okay that they have comments during the trailers. When I was a teenager, because I remember when I was a teenager, you don't get MIB flashed once you turn 18, and it's like, become an old man in a sweater vest, you fuck. No, it's you hate youth. No, that doesn't happen. No matter what
No,
Nickelodeon
it develops over
propaganda
time.
says. I'm like, I remember, and it's just trailers, right? And it's fine that
Right.
they're making little jokes during the trailers or talking during the trailers. And it's actually, on some level, it's preferred because a lot of these trailers reveal too much. So, like, I won't remember that Wreck-It Ralph features all of the princesses, which, like, wouldn't that be a great thing to see in the movie?
Yeah, right.
Like, what?
Or the entire plot line to Christopher Robin being revealed in the
Yeah,
trailer.
like the Christopher Robin. I'm like, I guess I don't need to see this movie.
Yeah.
Because
Good thing you're visually stunning because nothing about your story is going to be surprising to me now.
he goes to the Hundred Acre Woods. We see him there, and then we see them in London. So
Well, not only do we see him go to the Hundred Acre Woods, we see him then solve the problem in the 100 Acre Woods pretty immediately, and then like we are introduced to the problem of the movie, and then we see it solved, and then we see a new problem introduced. It's a weirdly structured film, from what I can tell.
It sort of feels like it's structured like the old Winnie the Pooh movie, where like it's vignettes.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway,
but
so
yeah,
these
so it's
youths ran you out of the theater.
No, they didn't run me out of the theater. That's it. Sort of ran me out of the theater, but because then they do the thank you for coming to the movies, and I'm gonna ruin this for you because this made me cheer. I cheered internally. I did not cheer out loud because it ends with Samuel L. Jackson saying, "And now, Incredibles 2." Cut to a short film. So it's like, oh, you fucking assholes. How dare you continue to cockblock us for the sequel to Incredibles 2?
Yeah,
Like,
man.
I'm like, that's good. And then that short bow is this beautiful. Like, it was such a visually stunning short.
It is a really good one, yeah.
But these people talked through the entire thing, saying, like, what is going on? This is so racist. And just...
Why is it racist?
Because she never opened in her eyes.
Oh man.
Yeah, no. So that like that, and then because they're talking, other people are talking too, and not like shh stuff, like talking, questioning this thing, because it's a silent short. It's like Shaun the Sheep, but
yeah, but like they've put out plenty of other short films that have not had dialogue.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Like Piper and the Blue Umbrella. Like, yes, I can right off the top of my head. I just named two, but these people, like everybody making jokes during this thing, and Dale looks at me and she's like, "We need to go," and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't disagree with you." Because I was hoping that once the movie proper started, the little comments would stop. But when they're still happening during the short, it's not worth my $12 to stay sitting
To find
there.
out. Yeah, to find out, right.
So we go and we get everything. But it's just like one of those things where like it kind of bummed me out. Because like I don't know when I'm going to be able to see Incredibles 2. Because like those are the audiences that you get. Like there's no sweet spot to go see Incredibles 2. For me right now, because if you go super early in the morning, you'll have the parents who are sort of annoyed that they're there early in the morning. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. Then they're no fun to watch the movie
So
with.
it's not fun to watch because the parents dragging it down. Even if the kid enjoys it, whatever. If you go to like an afternoon show, you have a lot of kids, and the kids are talking, and that's fine, right? Like a kid reacting to a film, I don't really have a problem with, but it's still not the most ideal way to watch a film. With people talking during it. And if you go late at night, you have the teenagers and you have the stoned adults who like...
Yes.
And it's like, I don't really want to see it with that either. So I'm not sure when I'm going to get to see Incredibles 2. Like, I was hoping that, like, pre-release 9 o'clock would be that sweet spot. Because, like, people are... I have to work
people
tomorrow.
that want to be there, right?
Yeah,
exactly. Like you're making an effort to get out to this film, and so I mean, like the thing is like that's I can't believe that that's not really the sense of every movie that you go to. Like it's a lot of work to go to the movies, and like the fact that people just completely ruin that for everybody else sucks. I mean, we talk about that a lot though. Like it,
right? And that. And I mean, when I go deeper into the films I saw over the past week, I'll even like mention another thing. But the thing that really struck me about it was we're at the desk and the manager comes over and he's like, "What's the problem? Like, you guys are here all the time. You don't complain." And it's like, well, it's not really a complaint. It's just that like we could kind of read the room and we wanted to avoid a situation. So we just need readmittance passes. We're not asking for a refund or anything like that. Just give us those little passes that say you can see a movie. You hand it to them, and they're like, yeah, that's no problem at all. And he's like, I got to tell you, when they came in, I knew they were going to be a problem. And I'm like, yeah, no. He's like, so what can you like tell me? Because I want to send an usher in there. Because he's like, I'm sorry you guys have to leave. And it's like, you know what? I don't want to leave during the movie to go get an usher. Because that's what, like, Jeff always says it. He's like, if people are being loud, just go get an usher. And I'm like, no, and then I miss the movie.
Yeah,
right?
like it ruins the entire flow of the experience. And it's just one of those things that, like, I don't know, I care about. Like, I get that other people don't, but like, it's the same reason why if I sit down to watch a movie, I pretty much have to watch it beginning to end. I can't do, like, the stop and start of a movie unless it's something I've seen 1,000 times, you know, then, yeah.
I mean, I agree. You know what they need? They need like the flight attendant buttons
Yeah, just at the seat, just hit
at
the
the
button at
seat,
the
so you
seat.
just
Yeah.
and it doesn't need to light up or anything. Just like
Yeah, it doesn't need to be obvious who called the usher because that would actually solve the other part of that problem for me though. Is the other reason why I don't want to get up and get an usher because then everybody in that theater now knows that you're the guy that did that, and there's always that weird length of time where everybody in the room is willing to put up with something stupid because they don't want to be that guy that goes and tells on somebody,
right,
and
but
that's
then you're
dumb.
the snitch. But then you're the
Right.
snitch,
Right.
and it's weird.
Obviously, it always hits a certain point where if you're the one that finally gets up, then you're the hero because you're the one that broke through the awkward, and everybody's like super proud that you were the one that did that for them. And right, but until that moment, you were still dealing for like 20 minutes of like, should I, shouldn't I, should I? And then you're not paying attention to the movie, right? Like you're sitting there with too much mental math going on in your head about like social
Yeah, like the
social
social
contracts and shit,
contract
and then
and
you're just like trying to figure out like at what point does somebody else go? Maybe that guy over there is going. Is that guy going? And then somebody gets up to go to the bathroom, and you're like, well, they probably told somebody, right? And then they didn't. So then you're like, shit.
it
And
has to be me. Why does it
yeah.
still have to be
But
me?
if there was a button at the seat the entire time, Jesus, that would be easy.
Yeah, and make it so it's not easy to push. Like you got to
Well,
do a
right.
little
You don't
bit
want
of
to be
work.
bumping it, right?
Put it
Right. Like
underneath.
lift. Put it or put it under a plastic flap. Like you got to lift like the same way that they guard the nuclear buttons. Um,
Right.
two keys have
And
to
it
be
should
turned at the
totally
same
be
time.
two keys too. Like two of them need to be pushed. So that like this is how you do it. This is the way
Yeah.
you need to do it. I don't know. It's just like that bums me out. So I'm really happy that you saw it. What else did you do? I'm sorry, I totally derailed that, but only
No,
because
no.
you brought up Incredibles 2.
Well, it was a weird because we were sitting there and we were trying to figure out if we wanted to go to Ocean's 8 or Incredibles 2 because Ocean's 8's been out for a bit and you were talking about it, gushing about
I
it last week.
still want you to see Ocean's 8
Yeah.
because
Oh, and it's still good to see.
according to Zach over at Say Reporter Jr., I'm the only person talking about it. It was the #1 movie last weekend, and the only person he heard say anything about Ocean's 8 was me.
You know what it is that I don't think it's offending people, and I think that's the best you can hope for the fourth in a series right now. Is like it's not something that's so offensive that people feel the need to go out and write about it, but also who's going to get clicks talking about the next Ocean's movie right now? It's just not like it's like it's the same thing happened for weird in like the Transformers movies. It got to a point where they were being built specifically for an audience, and so anybody going to them like they didn't even nobody bothered trashing the fourth Transformers movie if they wanted to because they were just like this isn't worth it, nobody cares. Like I think there's something about like I guess it's franchise fatigue or something like that, but it's not fatigue in the sense that like they're not going to go and see it. It's just it's also not something that everybody's just like unless it's a mind-blowing film that like changes the entire formula of the series. There's really yep, that's what it is. It's one of those movies is essentially the attitude. So I am curious as to why more people aren't talking about it if you enjoyed it as much as you did, but also I don't think it's a bad sign.
Yeah, that's true, but please see it because I've seen it twice now, and I'm going to see it a third time this week. So like, I'd really like next week for us to be able to talk about Ocean's 8.
Okay. In the meantime, instead of going to see current films or even like
Yes.
super well-made films,
What was your My Fellow Americans?
I ended up watching. This is not going to be anywhere near My Fellow Americans. I fell down the rabbit hole of Tinkerbell movies on Netflix.
No one is upset with you except for me. And it's not even that I'm upset with you. Like, there are people right now who listen to this show who are like, right? Fucking the Tinkerbell movies.
Uh-huh.
These chocodiles, Francine, my God, these chocodiles. Like, it is... People love those movies, and I don't have an ill thing to say about them. It's just that I never got on the bus.
It's like the lore that they okay. So essentially, up on Netflix right now, I believe there's about a half dozen. I believe there's 6 different Tinkerbell films. I don't even know if that's all of them or not yet. Like I
There are
haven't
6 total. There are 6 total films, and one of them is like a weird vignette movie.
Okay, so.
I would totally hang out with the vignette. He just tells you short stories.
I feel like that's like a Sesame Street version of
Of
Vin
Sasquatch.
Diesel, and a Sasquatch. Like,
Oh, Vignetti is fantastic. Oh, he's
oh
got the
my God.
bald head. He has to have the Vin Diesel bald head,
Yeah.
and he
And he's
just
got, for
tells
some
those
reason, the Riddick glasses
stories.
on all the time. He's got the Riddick glasses. It's all about family at the street. Let's see.
You live your life 1/4 mile at a time.
Oh God. So I sat down with a friend this week and we do this thing where she lives like miles away now, like too far away. And so we try and hang out on Skype every now and then and like pop like a stupid Netflix movie on to just like, something that we don't mind talking over because we haven't seen each other in a while, but also something, it's a reason for us to get together, right? Um and we're always so 90% of the time when I'm talking about like weird little movies that I've seen on here, it's probably because of these types of conversations, right? Like so, um and so we've been talking about them for a while because like you were saying, like there's six of them up there and like they've been kind of popular amongst like every group that's like gotten a hold of them. It always starts with the parents, right? These were like straight to DVD, straight to Blu-ray movies, right? And it always starts with the parents of the kids being like, of all of the ones that she's into, Tinkerbell movies, at least I can stand watching that 1,000 times a day, right? And so it starts from there, and then it slowly bubbles out to these other communities on the internet that are just like, if you're into some like weird Disney fun stuff, like check out the Tinkerbell movies, and then eventually it hits the zeitgeist of like everybody else. And I think that the one that we watched, which was
Pirate
the
Fairy.
Pirate Fairy,
That's
yep, the
that's
Pirate
the one.
Fairy,
That's the
that's
one
the
that
one.
really put them on the map.
Well,
Because Tom
because
Hiddleston's in it, right?
and Christina Hendricks.
Yeah.
I mean, the entire cast is actually kind of weirdly phenomenal, but Tom Hiddleston was the big pull for that. Do you know anything more about Tom Hiddleston being in it?
He's Hook, isn't he?
I mean, it's like pretty obvious from the
Yeah.
get-go that that's who he is. Like they treat it like a big reveal later on, but it's pretty much yeah.
Well, here's the
Um,
problem. Dale's been trying to get me to watch these movies since before. Like, if you just gave the life cycle, she definitely got in on level 2 of
yeah,
the life cycle of a thing like this.
yeah.
And she's been getting me to trying to get me to watch them forever. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I will. Someday I will sit down and I will watch them. Like when I did the 365 movies in a year, I fully intended for 5 of them to be the Tinkerbell films.
Right.
And I'm just never in the right mood for it. Like
They they're so like we put it on and immediately we were blown away by the actual like I think that we've been kind of w- the straight to DVD market has gotten a lot better than it used to. And it's one of those things that I think I've had a real hard time to really come around to and admit that like straight to DVD does not imply a certain quality anymore like it used to. Like this was so key in just the level of animation in these movies. It is straight on like same level as anything that you're going to get in theater. Like there's maybe less on screen, less stuff in front of you, but the level of detail on everything is still like top notch, right? So there's these weird moments where they're doing like establishing shots of like areas, right? And it's just this gorgeous animation that like they almost look like those Thomas Kincaid Disney posters that you see everywhere, right? Like there's this beautiful, it looks like there's like paint strokes in them and everything, and I was just like, what the hell? Like this is a level of detail I was not expecting, right? And then the casts and then like the stories, like because when we got down to it, we were watching this movie and we realized like 45 minutes into it that we were like super invested in trying to figure out how they were going to make that guy Hook. They introduced the crocodile. There was just all of this stuff going on that we were just like, what is happening? Also, this was the only one of them that we'd seen. And there's a big plot point in this one that something happens specifically with their fairy magic that gets like on the fritz. And they start getting into some weird detail about like specifics of fairy magic in a way that I didn't realize existed in the Disney universe. So like there was just all this really weird stuff going on. So I just start looking into all these other ones, and I mean like there's very clearly like a pattern to them. Like they come out at moments when there's not much, like when they know that you're not bringing your kid out to see Incredibles 2, that's when they're going to put one of their straight to DVDs out, right? Because that's Disney's not stupid. And then on top of that, they always latch on to something that they know is really popular at the moment. So for instance, one of the last ones that they did you find out Tinkerbell's sister is like an ice fairy, and it's very, very Frozen. Like the storyline and the imagery, it looks very much like it's playing on like the popularity of Frozen at the time. Or the pirate fairy one, very much playing off of how they were getting a huge reaction to Jake and the Neverland Pirates a couple years back, and that whole like and so the idea of really exploring the pirate side of things became really popular. So like they're very clearly in that straight to DVD sense, like pointed marketing wise. So there is still that, but man, like I was I was very impressed in a way that I shouldn't have been with a Tinkerbell movie.
Again,
And
nobody is going to fault you for that. Nobody is like, what an idiot. How dare you? Because they love them. They love these movies. And the issue for me anyway, is that Dale is always like, you gotta watch these, you gotta watch these. And then she'll show me like a little scene on YouTube. And that is the worst way to try to get me to watch something.
Well, yeah.
So that's how I know that Hiddleston is Hook. Because it's like, oh, okay. Like, I've heard a song from the Pirate Fairy hundreds of times, and I haven't seen the movie. And I'm
Is
one
it
of those persons.
the pirate song?
Yes, it's the pirate song. What fucking song would it be, Sejohn?
There's 3 other songs of that movie, man, and like so.
Yeah, but
that's the other thing is there's music like really like Disney movie level music being put into these things that we're not seeing in the mainstream films anymore. You know, like Frozen and Moana being the ones that kind of are bringing it back, right? But I mean, for a while there, you weren't getting songs in Disney movies, so maybe this is where a lot of that talent went, was to these smaller films that they're doing.
Well, excuse me if I'm a jerk for what I'm saying, but like, you also had Tangled and you had The Princess and the Frog, that are 2 soundtracks that I definitely own. But the ones that didn't, like Wreck-It Ralph, I own the soundtrack to Wreck-It Ralph. I don't know why. Like, so I like that Fireflies song by Owl City. Like, actually, the Wreck-It Ralph song is really good. Like the Wreck-It Ralph as fast as you can.
But you also had Big Hero in the middle of there too. So like they're not putting that effort into everything that they put out. Like, and it's because they feel certain movies don't necessarily merit it. You know.
Yeah, like Zootopia didn't need like a song. Like, it wasn't a musical story. And that's actually something I really enjoy about Disney, is like, you think of the golden age of Disney, like 89 to I guess Mulan, so 98. No, I'm an idiot. Like, I don't know. People really like the music in Tarzan. I don't. And I don't know. I love Phil Collins too. Like Invisible Touch, top 5 songs for Devon Decker.
Yeah, can you name another song out of that movie though? I guess the camp song.
Well,
is
Invisible
the only
Touch
other.
is not a song from Tarzan. That's
Well,
a song
no.
from
I mean,
Genesis.
no, but no.
Oh, you
but
mean
the Phil
besides
Collins,
You'll Be in My Heart?
Yeah. Besides
You'll
the
Be
Phil
in My
Collins
Heart, the
love
camp
ballad.
song.
And the camp song is honestly not even like, that could be in any movie. That is not necessarily like a musical movie number in any real way.
But Child of Man is another song from that.
You were well, and you. I shouldn't be surprised that you're pulling deep cuts and Disney soundtracks, but
yeah,
man.
That was like, you kind of set yourself up for failure with that question. Name another song from Tarzan. Well.
So sing "Child of Man."
No, I don't know that one, but it's when he's growing. It's the song that's playing as he's growing up.
Is that another Phil Collins one?
Yeah, he did all the music for that movie. And it's just like, yeah, but like, yeah. So I'll call Tarzan like the end of it, like Little Mermaid to Tarzan. They put all this emphasis into music that like Hercules didn't really need the music that's in there. And to be fair, it really has like set piece music numbers. It's not like The Little Mermaid, which like the first hour of that is all told through song. And then she loses her voice. And then like, well, there's a half hour, no songs, and then we have 2 more songs. The Little Mermaid.
The Little Mermaid.
Or like Beauty and the Beast, which is a lavish musical.
Right.
Like, or even like Aladdin, which is like a lavish musical. Or Lion King, like they were all that, and I was really happy when Disney realized it doesn't need to be a musical. Like Pocahontas, it's weird that it has so many musical moments. Like you could have Colors of the Wind and have it be this like that would like blow your friggin' mind, the Colors of the Wind thing. But then you have like Just Around the River Bend, which has my favorite lyric ever because it's for me. And she holds that me, and I just think of it on Disney sing-along songs, and I'm like, that's a sentence. Like, there's a pause, here's a line of lyric, and then more music, and I'm like, weird. This is a weird song. And like or like Hunchback of Notre Dame, that soundtrack puts me to sleep because it's so much score, which doesn't upset me because there's great moments like Hellfire, like Judge Claude Frollo talking about his temptation is beautiful. Yeah. Why did you open this fucking box, Sejohn? Why did you open the Disney soundtrack box? Meat like a breadstick.
But that's, like, so seeing that they're applying all of this quality and quantity, like, that's the other thing is, like, it's not just one song for these Tinkerbell movies. Like, at least the one that I watched got a good, like, handful of them. And so I can totally see kids being just into this franchise and buying the CDs and buying all of that sort of stuff. Like, they have taken this. It honestly, what it made me think of was the old Disney Channel original movie or the Sunday Night Disney, event movies, wonderful Disney events. Like, it made me think of, like, when they were making good quality, like, straight to TV type stuff. It was just the idea that, they were maybe stories that wouldn't necessarily work on the big screen, or they, whatever it was, they decided to make them small screen features. And, like, it's been a while since I think that Disney's, like, really kind of caught my attention with those. Like, I think that they kind of lost me when they started just taking all of their television shows and just making, like, made for TV movie versions of them, like the Even Stevens, like, Lost in Paradise movie or whatever it was, or like all of those, like, weird ones that they started pumping out that were just essentially just, like, extended episodes of their TV shows. I stopped paying attention then because I was never really good at following Disney TV shows to begin with.
Well, that's not your fault. Man. That's not your fault being bad at following Disney TV shows. I'm like as if you need it, as if you need me to, like, I absolve your sin. They're so bad at it, and that's what I'm experiencing with, like, DuckTales right now. Is I don't know when to find them. Like, and now that I have a DVR, I get to watch it on my schedule. Right, I get to establish my schedule and watch it whenever. But, like, when I was a kid, when would I have seen the new episode of DuckTales? Like, I would just be like, oh, DuckTales on, I'm going to put it on. Oh, it's the one I haven't seen before.
Look at that. It's in one of them, yeah. Well, and I will say that the way that it's been working for me now, and I can get much better at doing this stuff, is because of the Disney Now app. The apps will save us all. Like, the entire thing that they have set up where now I can just go and just pick what show I want to see and see what episodes they have of it and all that sort of stuff makes it so much easier for me to just, like, follow things. But, part of it is also that they do these things with kids. They do these contracts with kids that they basically have them for life, but kids grow up, right? So they get to this point where they're just like, this storyline that we've been telling for a while doesn't work anymore because now this kid that was 8 is now 13. So let's take that same character, create a new show based around the fact that they're 13, and then, like, create this whole new show. The problem is that it has all of the same characters from the old show, except now they're on a boat as opposed to in a hotel. I'm looking at you, Zach and Cody.
I really was like, he knows what he's doing, right?
Yes. But like they do that now. But now the problem is that, like, I don't know what I'm watching when I put on a TV show, because I'll tell you this, the inside of a cruise ship looks awfully like the inside of a hotel when you're doing interior shots. So there's all sorts of that problem too, because now I don't know. They've even got, right now they have 2 shows running simultaneously during the school year and during the summer that are the same kids on, like, when they go to camp over the summer versus when they're home during the year. So depending on what time of year you're looking for this family, it could be a completely different show that you're watching, because maybe you don't care about their camp life, or maybe you don't care about their city life. You want to know what they're doing. But they've got the entire year covered for you so that you can watch these kids in their mischief, and, like, whatever. Like, they'll put, like, marathons on of shows now, and I'm watching kids turn 23 before my very eyes. Man, this is a grumpy old man episode.
I really, you know what? It's because I started this talking about grumpy old men. No, it's So I'm going to talk about that. I've been watching a lot of I guess Teen Nick is the name of the channel. Teen Nick. This is Teen Nick's programming schedule. This is literally what they do. They show 4 episodes of Victorious. They show 4 episodes of iCarly. They show 2 episodes of Sam and Cat, and then they show the same 4 episodes of Victorious, the same 4 episodes of iCarly, and then 2 new episodes of Sam and Cat. Not new, because that show ended sad. You know, they handed them a thing of balloons and they just flew away. But like, so, and I used to dig
every now and then they put Degrassi on too. That's the other thing.
Like Zoe 101 is what they used to put on, and that show, I missed that show when it was new. But that, first of all, these are all Dan Schneider shows, and we now know that Dan Schneider, maybe not the messiah of children's television programming that we thought he was.
Well, yeah, I'll be honest. Even back in the day, it was pretty obvious to anybody watching these shows that it was a little weird how certain characters were treated very often.
Yes, no, that's what I'm saying. But but then once you have the confirmation, it's a little weird. But I've been watching. Victorious is one that I never really dug. And like the first Victorious episode I watched start to finish was the Breakfast Club episode. And now that is the bane of my fucking existence. Because it is like the worst homage to a movie ever. And I'm including the Family Guy fucking Star Wars episodes. I'm including the Phineas and Ferb Star Wars episodes that like literally just retell the movie but add jokes from modern time. It, like the Breakfast Club episode of Victorious is so bad that it came on and I'm like, I want to change the channel, but like there's literally nothing else on right now. Like, what do I do? Like, you've trapped me, Breakfast Club Victorious. So I'm watching that show for like the very first time. And that's great because the girl who plays Jade, I can't think of her freaking name. And that's probably a good thing, right? Because she's an adult now, but she wasn't then.
No. Yeah.
But she was in Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll with Dennis Leary.
Oh, okay.
And she is a hell of a performer. And I really hope that she gets another show or something. Like, that Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll only lasted the 2 seasons. Like, 2 electric seasons of television is disappointing to me on almost every level. But I think they were expecting another Rescue Me out of Dennis Leary. But he's like, it's a half-hour story about an over-the-hill rock and roll star meeting his daughter. FX, why do you think this is going to be Rescue Me 2.0?
Yeah. Oh man.
But and then iCarly. I've been watching iCarly, and I think about the fact that I got into iCarly. This is stuff that I've had to research. I did not know this. I really didn't know it. I thought the show had been on for like years and years by the time I watched my first episode of iCarly. No, the first episode of iCarly I watched is season 2, episode 3, I Kiss. And it is the one where Freddie Benson and Sam Puckett kiss each other, and it's their first kiss. And it's like this really good episode. Like, it's a very adult way of handling like a first kiss. And from that moment, I don't ship. I'm not a shipper. Unless it's on like eBay and you bought something from me on eBay. But the only thing on TV that I have ever shipped is Freddie and Sam from iCarly. Because like you just watch it and it's like, yeah, no, like these 2 kids belong together in this weird way. Like, not just because the show dictates it. Like Phineas and Ferb, Isabel and Phineas, you know they're going to get together because the creators after the first season are like, yeah, we see them eventually getting together when they're older. And it's like, well, that takes out all the fun, guys. Like, fuck you.
I believe what you're talking about, though, is chemistry. It's like these actors have chemistry.
Have real chemistry, which is when it gets really weird when they're like Freddie and Carly. Like, anytime they get together, I'm like, yeah, she's not good enough for you, Freddie.
Oh man.
But what iCarly triggered in me, and it's relevant, I swear, to the whole like following shows. I somehow watched almost every episode of iCarly new. Like, once I saw that Kiss episode and was like, oh, this show is not like the bane of my existence. Like, this is a real. I thought that the show iCarly was literally just the web show. I didn't realize that there was more to it. The web show is just a thing that they do. They also live lives. And it's showing that creators, like content creators on the internet, have to still live a life. and not just because they're kids, but because of the fact that like you'll burn yourself out
Yeah,
if
yeah,
all you're
yeah,
doing
yeah.
is creating content.
Yeah, Disney's got that show for the right now themselves, Bizarre, but it is a much more zany world. I like it is not the real world that those kids live in because like some crazy. It's the one that Jake Paul is on. Um, yeah, Jake Paul is on a Disney show. It's a weird world we live in. But yeah, they're giving they're just trying their hand at this one, and it's not working in the way that it's not hitting nearly as big as iCarly did. I mean, who knows? We're only like a year into that show, so who like
Well,
5 years from now it
the
might be the
thing
biggest
that
thing.
totally was their iCarly killer was Best Friends Whenever, like down
Mm.
to the fact that the two girls looked like Carly and Sam.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then had the like Freddie Benson friend and the Gibby friend. Like 100% Best Friends Whenever was like, okay, so we'll take the iCarly stuff, right? But we'll hide it in the fact that they time travel and no one will notice. And it's like,
Well,
oh, okay, but the other thing is we need to make the blonde the Carly character and we make the black-haired girl the Sam character. We'll
there
get
you
away
go.
with this. And they got away with it for 2
Yeah.
seasons, and then it ended. And it's just like, you had something, Disney. You had something.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I like the way that children's television works nowadays, and the way that all of this like children's entertainment stuff works. Like I don't know how we ever took in stuff when we were kids. Like it's amazing to me, like the way that stuff bubbles up as like really popular, and also. I mean, much older now, I can also see how all the strings are being pulled, right? Like the idea that certain shows are popular only because those networks decide to pump out more of that episode, more episodes of that show and put it on more often. So of course kids love that show because, like you were saying earlier, it's the only thing on. Like I'm not going to change the channel. I might not love this show, but I'm going to watch it. So now I know it. So now when I go to school, everybody's talking about it because I know it. So I'm going to keep watching because everybody's into it. And then slowly you're like, yeah, I guess I could buy merchandise to go along with this thing that I'm watching every day. Why the hell not? So like it's a scary way that you could start to see how like our nostalgia is manufactured. Like the reason that we love what we love isn't just because it was the best thing on TV, but because as far as we knew back then, it was really kind of the only thing on TV. Right. Yeah, man. So like it's a I think that's maybe the biggest disappointment about Disney TV right now and even like Teen Nick and all that stuff is it's just so obviously manufactured in a way that like I'm jaded. I'm just a jaded old man. This is the grumpy old man episode.
Okay, so
like,
so grumpy old man Sejohn, I'm gonna try to break it from the
Yeah.
day that it was Mondays. Mondays, I want to say like probably 2009, maybe 2008. It was when I only had one class like left, so it was definitely 2008. It was no fall of 2009. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm doing it. It's when I went and met Will, right?
Okay,
And the world
yeah.
finally became right again. And I had to take a class, and Jason Broder would come to my house, and he would pick me up, and he'd drive me to college, and then we'd come back to my house, and we would just dink around on the Wii and just play video games all day until my parents got home. So it was the summer, right? Like, or it was spring break for Dale. So it was April, like school vacation,
Yeah.
and everybody wound up at my house. Like all the people we hung out with. You were not there. I apologize, but like. Like there were like 5 adult people like age 19 to 25 hanging out at the house and Dale. And what had aired the Saturday before this Monday was the iCarly I Date a Bad Boy episode. And the 5 of us, like adult males, watched it. Like and like we're all into this episode of iCarly, and we're like,
Yeah.
it's cool though, it's all right because Dale's watching it. We're just here. Like,
Yeah.
and like that whole facade was totally torn down because my mother like came home and was on the phone with somebody, and she's like, I don't know what the fuck I just walked into. I got 5 grown ass men in my living room watching iCarly. I need to call you back.
What sick shit are you all up to in here? Oh man.
So yeah,
like-
don't be grumpy, right? Like it's funny moments. It's funny
Yeah.
stuff, and it's how our lives were lived.
Yeah, I can't imagine what kids are in the future going to be into. You know what I mean? Like the way that the other thing is all of this television that's out right now it's very much marketed in a way and packaged in a way like internet videos, right? Like even shows that are not about the internet are still like they move faster than they used to. The threads are not nearly as connected as they used to be because turns out they don't have to be. Like kids will just, you know what I mean? Like it's like watching everything on shuffle. Like that's what it feels like watching children's television for me nowadays. Everything is on shuffle down to the moment, not just the shows. Like it's crazy. It is. I'm I am interested to see like what the next level of all this stuff is going to be. So 10 years from now, we should check in on like children's television.
I agree with you. June 17th, 2028. Let's watch just a bunch of like kids shows. First of all, let's hope we're still friends. I think we'll still be friends. But even if we're not friends, like that's let's
this
get
will be
together.
Our pact that'll bring us back
it'll
together.
be our like wet hot American summer, no matter where we are 10 years from now. But it's like, so I mean, one of the things that is big, right? Like just another. I've recently gotten into the show Apple and Onion on Cartoon Network. I don't know if you saw Apple and Onion.
I have not yet.
So here's what I'm going to tell you about Apple and Onion. And now you're going to go out and you're going to watch the 10 episodes, and you're going to be sad that there are only 10 episodes. Richard Iowati voices Onion.
Oh,
so go watch it. That's it. And he's kind of got the Maz haircut, so like it kind of works that way. And it's a world of anthropomorphized food. That's crazy. Like they just live in, and it's hilarious. The show is super funny, and it's already led to like these little like jokes and stuff that happen between me and my sister because of this show that we just sat down and devoured. But one of the reasons we were able to sit down and devour it is that before television worked in half hour, an hour, right? That's what you had. So kids shows would be 2 unrelated 11-minute episodes, for lack of a better term, right?
Right.
Because a half hour is really 22 minutes once you subtract advertising. TV economics. But then like Cartoon Network realized, well, if we just produce the 11-minute segments on their own, we can put a lot more variety into our network.
Right.
So that once they started acting in 15-minute increments on TV, that was like where this shuffle feeling really came from.
Yeah, and I feel like for Cartoon Network, the pretty obvious starting point for all that was the cartoon shows, right? Those like Sunday night like marathon shows that they would put on to just be like, let's try this, and it's like that's how Cow and Chicken got started. That's how Dexter's Lab got started. That's how Powerpuff Girls got started, right? And so they would take some of those 11-minute shows back then and then spin them out into half-an-hour programs. But then within those half-an-hour programs, they were still only doing those 11-minute shorts.
At Dexter's Laboratory. Dexter's Laboratory, they were even, I'm trying to like divide 7-minute episodes. Because you'd have a Dexter, you'd have a Monkey or the Justice Crew, and then you'd have another Dexter.
Yeah. Where was Secret Squirrel? Which one was he buried in?
Secret Squirrel was buried in Two Stupid Dogs.
Two Stupid Dogs, that's right. Yeah. So like you had all sorts of weird stuff that popped up, and Cow and Chicken was like perhaps my bread and butter when I was a kid. I don't know why. Courage the Cowardly Dog, it was also really cool, but I'll be honest, it freaked me the fuck out.
Dude, it's Doc Gerbil's world. Like still like I'm like freaked out right now. Like
TV was so much better when we were kids. Anyway,
that's what we're saying. Because we're old now and everything is terrible. No,
but we're not saying that, right? Like it's this idea that great. Like it's just that the TV is just so different than it used to be that like it's kind of hard to compare the two, right?
Well, like but that thing, it's beautiful too in a weird way, because I was watching an Apple and Onion, and then like a Ben 10 came on, and the new Ben 10, like I watched this Ben 10 because I'm like, it's 11 minutes of my life, right? What does it matter? And it's not as great. Like the other problem that happened regarding Cartoon Network is the fact that you had Teen Titans Go hit, so a lot of the shows became Teen Titans Go. Which is not a negative, but that like sort of absurdity, really fast-paced thing is there from that show.
But I think one of the things that Teen Titans Go has going for it that nobody else does is a really deep lore in the DC universe that people know. You know what I mean? Like you. So I just watched an episode of Teen Titans Go because I've actually started watching that show from the beginning, oddly enough. And there's an entire episode where Robin knocks out Arsenal so that he can take Roy's place on a date with Starfire, and then it leads to a phenomenal fight between Arsenal and Robin, but in switched costumes. I think I lost track, which was part of the joke, is that you lose track of which one's which, and so like Roy and Dick are fighting each other over Starfire, which is like a phenomenal like moment because they in the comics have both had that moment with Starfire where they've realized how much they love her, and so the idea of the two of them fighting and duking it out over her totally makes sense within the lore. It was just gorgeous. It was beautiful.
Right.
And also just having Arsenal show up was like a great pull, right? And like to a kid that's never touched a comic in his life, you say Arsenal to them and they don't know. Like Speedy is they do refer to him as Speedy in the episode, and so like they only kind of tangentially know of him maybe from like Young Justice, if they're even that old yet. But if they're not, it doesn't mean anything to them. But as a parent watching it, like I would love that sort of stuff. So, but that's what Teen Titans Go has going for it. Whereas I don't have that connection to Ben 10. You know, if I watch Ben 10 and it's that style of comedy, that's not going to work for me because I don't have the deep knowledge of the lore of the Ben 10 universe, of which I know there is actually one out there.
Yeah,
I'm not even saying it's not available. I'm just saying that it's not one that everybody is well versed in, like you are with Batman comics. You know,
right? But that's exactly what this story leads to. Like, spoilers for how this story ends. It was a time travel one, so I'm like, oh, I like time travel, right? Like, if you got a time travel story, I'm probably going to give it to you, and especially if it's just 11 minutes of my time you're asking for. And then I'm watching it, and I'm like, holy shit, I watched a lot of Ben 10 as a kid. Like, not even as a kid. Like, I was a teenager when Ben 10 hit. But, like, I definitely watched Ben 10 Alien Force, which was, like, the second program. I watched that from start to finish. Like, I made sure to watch episodes of that show. And it's
that was like Ben 2.0, right? Like when he
was a teenager,
had a good handle on his powers and all that sort of stuff.
And he had different aliens. He had more aliens. Kevin Levin had become a ally instead of a villain. Gwen and Kevin were dating. Like, the show, it really grew into itself. Like, where it's like sort of like not Batman Beyond though, sort of like a reverse Batman the Animated Series. Where, like, they started with the adventures of Batman and Robin and then matured into just the Batman the Animated Series stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then I'm watching it and I'm like, yeah, so I do have a weird affinity for, like, this Ben 10 show that I didn't expect to have. I'm not going to seek it out and watch it, but, like, if it's on, I'll leave it on.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know. It's just, thinking about where kids' entertainment has gone, it's just crazy. It really is. And this has been a good conversation about it. Yeah, totally not what I expected.
Well, and so, like, put a button on this and bring it back to the beginning. I'm just going to say, go and see Incredibles 2. Because, like, I think that, like, in terms of where, like children's and family entertainment is right now, I think Incredibles 2 is a phenomenally, like, well-made and film and, like, so worth your time. It's just in the larger scheme of things, I don't know how it's going to play, but we'll talk after you see it.
I'm excited.
But Incredibles 2.
I will definitely. I mean, if you want to make like a Qatari suicide pact right now, I will definitely see Incredibles 2 before the next time we record. Please try to get to Ocean's 8.
Yeah, man.
Let's make our next episode the 14-year gap between sequels. Because that's basically what it is.
Yeah, man. I'm down.
Yeah. So you have that to look forward to. I'm gonna give a recommendation too of a movie that you need to go see, and it's because I want people to see this film, and it's not Incredibles 2. So like, it's not gonna get the push that it 100% deserves, and that is go see Upgrade. I cannot stress how good Upgrade is. And the only reason, if you've seen a trailer and it looks like a horror movie, is because fucking Blumhouse doesn't know anything else.
I was gonna say, isn't that the one that's like a weird sci-fi horror film?
It is not a horror film at all. It is not a horror film at all. It is a sci-fi action film that hooks you from minute friggin' one. And then when it ends, you're like, is it over? Is it really over? Because you just want more. You want to talk about lore. You want to talk about storytelling. Go see Upgrade. It is 100% worth your time. And secondarily, go if you have the opportunity. If you're going to go see Incredibles 2 and you have an X Plus theater anywhere near you and you can see it 2D, don't go 3D. I do not advocate 3D. Go see a film in X Plus projection.
Okay.
Do you know what X Plus projection is?
We have XD theaters out here, so I'm wondering if maybe that's the same thing. But what is X Plus?
I believe an XD is. I don't know what an XD is. I think that's
XD is curved screen, almost not like a third of the size of IMAX, so bigger than a normal screen, but not like IMAX size. Curved screen, the sound is like crazy good. I saw Thor Ragnarok in XD, and it was the best choice I ever made. Very often you have to go and deal with the 3D if you're going to XD, but not all the time because they didn't with Thor. I don't know if it wasn't available in 3D or what, but so that was there. But the other big thing about it is like the projection itself is like digital, high quality. The colors are just phenomenal. It's supposed to be the most even like lighting throughout the entire thing. Like it's crazy. Like the amount of tech in the projecting.
X Plus is XD taken to the next level.
Okay.
Because it is that Dolby Atmos sound, so you feel like you're in the film. Right. But the projection system, it's laser projection.
Oh, okay.
So it is it's basically like it's recreated right in front of you. And I've wanted to see a film in laser projection since I heard about it 2 years ago. Like someone was like, laser projection is going to be a thing. And then a year ago, I almost saw Wonder Woman, but it was only in 3D. And I'm like, I don't want to see Wonder Woman in 3D. And I, like, on a whim, I saw that Ocean's 8 was playing in IMAX. And I'm like, that's crazy that Ocean's 8 is an IMAX movie. Because, like, it's not some huge, like, superhero film or, like, big, crazy money franchise. So, and it's 2D, right? Because you're not going to do a 3D Ocean's movie. So I, like, as soon as I thought it was playing at the IMAX theater, I get on my phone and I'm like, laser projection, Ocean's 8. And I found a theater that was doing it. It was about an hour away from our house. And it was like Sandra Bullock was in the room with me. The depth in the photography is like, in the detail, it was incredible.
Cool.
So, like, and Incredibles 2 is, like, the one that's playing in laser projection there now. So, like, if you're going to go see Incredibles 2 and you haven't given yourself an XD or X Plus experience, this is the time to do it.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
because Sejohn loved the film, and
the other big thing is with I don't know about with the X Plus, but it's always reserved seating too, which is actually kind of nice. You buy your ticket in advance, you can pick what seat you want to be in. You don't have to worry about like rushing through crowds to find the best seat and all that sort of stuff. So that's also just a nice little like plus that isn't anything about the quality of the movie itself, but like that the theater experience is also a little bit better that way too.
That was the only complaint I had about X Plus. Is that it is struggle for your seats. And the weird thing about it is they have like an X Plus lounge where everybody gathers beforehand because they only had one person on cleaning.
Oh, God.
So like, and it's a huge theater because it's stadium style with recliners.
Oh, man.
So like, when you're here, if we can see a film in X Plus, dude, we got to do it.
That's awesome.
It's an experience that like I'm afraid has ruined other movies for me. I will be honest with you. But yeah, so like you have this one woman cleaning in there, and then when she finishes, she goes over to the lounge and she's like, "And the theater is now open." And then it's like a mad dash to get the seats that you want. So like that part kind of sucked because like I do like the reserved seating because then you'll know if there's going to be people behind you or anything like that. But the beautiful thing about stadium-style recliner, you feel like there's nobody else but your row watching that movie.
Yeah.
So it was a great experience, and also big kudos to Sejohn because we saw it on a Tuesday, so it was a $10 ticket. So this guy bringing cheap Tuesdays to my attention.
Yeah.
All the love in the world, brother. Anything to add before we clean up the bathroom? So to speak.
No, man. Let's close this one up for the night.
All right. So if you have anything to say to me about my ideas, and if you don't ship Sam and Freddie, you can find me on Twitter at Devon D. Decker and make your argument.
And if you have any recommendations to bring me out of my old man phase into this new children's television world, you can send those to me. It's Siege versus the World.
You could also try injecting Monster Energy drink directly into your scrotum. That'll make you feel young.
Is that how Logan Paul does it?
Yeah, that's... Fuck you, Logan Paul. No, I'm kidding. I don't know who you are. That's like a name he said, and it was just funny to me. All right, Will.
Never mind. The kids know what I'm talking about.
The kids know who Logan Paul is. Will, get that syringe away from your ball sack and finish this one up for us.
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host Devon Decker and Sejohn Serwick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.